Hello and welcome to another edition of Shoulders Above the Rest Radio. I'm your host, Brendan, and today I wanted to talk about the idea behind scaling movements and kind of getting into the science of scaling movements. Like, why is scaling helpful? Like, what is the point of it? Especially once you are able to do a movement as RX. So this conversation was sparked with a member or by a member who is able to do ring dips. And the workout we were doing yesterday was 50 air squats, 27 ring dips, 50 air squats, 21 ring dips, 50 air squats, 15 ring dips, 50 air squats, 9 ring dips. And the first point about like why scaling should be done, so that's 72 ring dips, which is a pretty decent volume, is the time frame was meant to be between 10 to 14 minutes, with more advanced athletes being able to maybe finish under 10 minutes. And this athlete is a good athlete, but they're not, 72 ring dips, they're not quite at that volume. It's not that they couldn't do it, but in the time frame suggested or like the intended stimulus of the workout, they would not have been able to complete that. And so they kind of were asking like, well, so they were saying my thought is I should do just really good reps, take my rest in between, but I'm going to do unassisted ring dips and that will help me get better. And what I ended up breaking down for them and that I want to get into here is this idea of when you scale. So the whole point of a workout, like the reason CrossFit works, is because of intensity. Intensity is the independent variable most commonly correlated to results. So for CrossFit's methodology, we are a results-driven program, and intensity is what produces results. It's kind of the one of the founding principles of CrossFit. Intensity is produced or amplified, or perhaps intensity is regulated by power output. So power output is force times distance over time. And so what that means, with time being the denominator, the longer a workout takes, inherently, the lower the intensity of that workout. Right? Now, again, if you're, let's say it's strict pull-ups or, unassisted pull-ups, whatever, it's like, cool, you can do pull-ups, but if you're only doing 1 or 2 at a time and then needing to take 10 to 15, maybe 20 seconds in between, and that's usually what happens with ring dips, especially for myself even. Like, that is just an area of weakness of mine, upper body pressing strength, and I can bang out a decent-sized set of ring dips, actually probably by most standards, mediocre set. Anyways, the point being, even though I can start out with a good chunk, and that's something people will always kind of do at the beginning. They'll do 1 or 2 reps and they're like, oh, this feels too easy. I'm gonna go with a lighter band or with, no band at all. And then after 5 or 6 reps, they're not meeting the full range of motion anymore. They're not being able to do more than 1 or 2 reps at a time, and they're taking these long breaks in between. And now, like, cool, sure, you're doing the movement as RX, but you are not properly doing that workout, right? Unless it's meant to be like a 1 rep max or a super heavy load. Usually in a Metcon, you want to be able to do decent size chunks of reps. And then when you like translate that into the open and stuff, it's like, cool, maybe you can do a movement, but if you've never trained yourself to do large sets and trained yourself to do large sets under fatigue and out of breath, like, you're always going to be stuck doing 2 to 3 reps at a time, taking a long break, 2 to 3 reps at a time, taking a long break, and you're going to kind of stagnate your progress. So the point being, if results come from intensity and intensity comes from power output, and power output is most impacted by duration or time of a workout, then we should scale our workouts, our movements, to be able to match the intended stimulus of that workout so that we are optimizing our intensity for that day, right? Because intensity is a spectrum, right? There's days where it's a longer workout, so we don't want to come out too hot. We want to sustain a long duration, and we want to keep moving that whole time. If it's if they say 10 to 14 minutes, then you want to be moving for the majority of those 10 to 14 minutes. However long it takes you. If the workout's supposed to be like a 5 to 7 minute workout, same thing. Like, you should be working. If it's an AMRAP, like here's a good example. If it's an AMRAP, so like Cindy, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. I would argue most people would benefit from scaling their pull-ups and even scaling their push-ups more so, because push-ups tend to be the bottleneck on that workout, to get more rounds than by doing it as RX'd every time. So like maybe you do RX'd Cindy once and you kind of get a baseline. All right, cool. Without any assistance, I can get 10, 12 rounds, something like that. Cool. The next time you do Cindy, I would do it with a band. Unless you've like done a lot of other stuff and you feel like you've gotten a lot better, I would, do it with a band and try and get 20 rounds, 25 rounds even. And just like force yourself to like, all right, I have to keep moving. I cannot stop. For the full 20 minutes, I am constantly moving. There are no breaks. I'm going to scale so that it is easy enough for me to keep moving. And then like other workouts where you're scaling in that way, like, all right, so for this air squat and ring dip workout, scaling the ring dips to a point where you can always do 5 to 7 reps at a time is going to benefit you more so than not using any band or using too light of a band and only doing 1 or 2 reps at a time. Because that's really all you're training your body to do then is 1 to 2 reps at a time, rest. 1 to 2 reps at a time, rest. And in the big picture, that is not going to improve your fitness at the same speed or to the same degree as, all right, I'm going to use a thick enough band that I can do 7, 10 reps at a time, and then I'm going to take a quick break, jump up. Now this time I'm only going to do, 5 or 7 reps, and then boom, now I'm going to jump up again. I'm going to try and get another 5 to 7, like trying to work yourself under fatigue and doing bigger sets under fatigue. Because then if that is how you approach the workout every time, as you get stronger, then you do a smaller band, but you're still doing early on bigger sets, 10, 12, 15 reps. Then you slow down a little bit, you fatigue, then your reps turn into 7, 10, smaller sets. Instead of starting with 5 to 7 and scaling down to 1 to 2, like let's scale appropriately so that you can do a big chunk first, like a big chunk, but then scale enough that you are still able to do big chunks as you go. Another way to do that would be, all right, let's say I'm going to start with a very light band and I'm going to do my big set. And then if I ever drop under 5 reps in a set, when I jump up, I'm going to then go to a thicker band to allow me to do a bigger set. Okay. And what that does is, sure, you still then get your work in with a lighter band or no band, maybe you started with, but you're then continuing to train your stamina and your endurance in that movement and that workout to keep going under fatigue. And it teaches your body how to keep moving under fatigue, how to clear fatigue faster. So there is a sort of a hybrid, way of going about it. Like rather than thinking, all right, I just need to stick with one scaling all the way through. It's all right, I'm going to do what I can early on. And then as I fatigue, because of the intended stimulus of this workout, I'm just going to keep scaling as needed throughout the workout to keep moving at the intended tempo. Right. So I guess what I was trying to do with this topic is kind of get into the why of it. And so going back to what I was saying before, the intended stimulus and the time in a workout greatly impacts your power output, which greatly impacts the intensity of the workout, which greatly impacts your results. And in the hierarchy of CrossFit, so there's a pyramid, starts with nutrition. If your nutrition is not on point, everything above that is going to suffer. The next one is metabolic conditioning. If you cannot continue to move at a steady pace for a long duration of time, for various durations of time, I should say, everything above that on the pyramid is going to suffer. The next layer above metabolic conditioning is gymnastics. And so this is where if you only do 1 to 2, maybe 3 reps at a time, it's going to feel intense in that moment. It's going to feel like, I'm doing like a max effort thing, but that feels intense. However, your lungs, that aspect of your fitness is always going to kind of suffer. You'll be out of breath, but then you're going to need to wait to keep going because it is such a maximal effort each time, and you're not going to train your body, your lungs, your muscles to continue to work under fatigue. And that is usually what sets most elite CrossFitters or better CrossFitters apart, is their ability to continue to move under fatigue. And so there's a lot of variables to that, like having good technique actually helps you continue to move because you're more efficient, and you're able to generate more power. Your power output is better with technique. And so because you have better power output with better technique, therefore actually focusing on better technique is going to, again, help your results, because since technique leads to better power output, that leads to better intensity, which leads to better results. And so this all just kind of goes back to that initial formula and that connection of those elements. Power output equals intensity, which equals results. If you can understand that, those 3 parts and how they go back and forth with each other, then every workout you will be able to maximize to improving your fitness. And the other thing is, getting caught up in the idea of RXing something. That is something I did early on, right? I've been in CrossFit now for 13 years, and I still suck at ring dips and handstand push-ups and those types of movements because I have not applied this for myself. It's something I'm just now, as I'm starting to study more for my CrossFit level 3, really starting to grasp. And so I was someone who, okay, I can do ring dips. I'm just going to do the unassisted. It's going to take me longer. That's fine. It hasn't, like, I'm telling you from living it for the past 13 years, I've been able to do ring dips for almost the entirety of my of my time doing CrossFit. I came into CrossFit with a decent level of fitness, and handstand push-ups, those took me a while to get, but I really haven't progressed in those because as soon as I was able to do them, I stopped doing all the scalings and progressions and things that got me to get them. And so I've stagnated. I'm still able to do handstand push-ups, but when they show up in a workout, I'm done. Like, I'm never going to get I shouldn't say never. Currently, I will not be able to get a good score on the leaderboard in an open or something like that, or just like even for myself, like I will struggle in that workout because I've stopped. Shouldn't say I've stopped. Within the last year or 2, I've started to do this better. I've started to scale, and I have started to be honest with myself, and not the other thing I used to do was just skip workouts where I couldn't RX them. I was like, I need to work on that. I'm not going to do this workout. I'll just work on those after class another day or something like that. And I just would avoid the workout if I couldn't RX it. And that also has limited my progress. So yeah, that was the conversation I had, and I wanted to share that with everyone because I think it's super valuable to understand, not just like you should scale. Like, that's one statement, and it's not a statement of you're not good enough. It's a statement of this is why you want to get better. Cool. Here's why you should scale this workout, because scaling it is in fact going to make you better. And it's a never ending back and forth. Like, there's going to be movements, there's going to be workouts where the volume suddenly dictates, I need to scale that movement. I can't do that. It's the same thing with a barbell. Like, we don't just do, if it's our 1 rep max, a barbell movement. Like, if you're not strong enough to do Grace as RX, like if it takes you 30 minutes to do it with a 135 pound barbell, the intended stimulus of Grace is like 5 minutes or less. You should use a lighter load and push it and push your pace. Try and pick up the bar when you're out of breath. Try and pick up the bar when your lungs and your arms and your legs are just burning and aching. And I want that weight to be light enough that you can then do that and maintain good form on top of that, right? So there's so many layers to this that If I said, all right, you're just going to do RX Grace, even though it takes you 30 minutes to do it, the next time you do it, you're probably not going to get that much faster, right? Even if you've gotten a little bit stronger because you haven't, like I remember early on in CrossFit, there was a video of, Kendrick something. He was an Olympic weightlifter on Team USA, and he was either Grace or Isabel. I think it was Isabel, which is 30 snatches for time at 135. This dude is remarkably strong. Snatches over 300 pounds at the time. Well over, actually. I don't remember exactly what he could snatch. But anyways, so 135, it was a warm-up weight for him. But it took him, I think, over 5 minutes. It took him a while to do that. Most CrossFitters can't snatch nearly as much as he can. But because they have that conditioning and that stamina, the best CrossFitters in the world, they can just do Isabel unbroken. They don't even have to let go of the bar. They do 30 reps in about 60 seconds at that weight. And that's sort of the secret sauce, is like they can just hang on. They keep going. And again, these people do have very good strength, but that's the other piece of that, is their strength is so high and their conditioning is so good that they are able to hold on for that long. There are plenty of people in the world who are decent CrossFitters, but they don't do this. They overpace things. That's something, again, I still have kind of gotten in a habit of, is I will do, because it's worked for me, I'll do a few reps, rest, a few reps, rest. It keeps me moving, but because I've always taken that approach, because it worked for me, I haven't really gotten like better, and I can't push past a certain level of reps. So that's like been my focus this last year, and especially going into this year's Open, is I'm scaling more. Like, yeah, I have those movements, but if I can't do big sets, if I can't keep up with the intended stimulus of the workout, I'm going to scale it, because I know that me scaling it is only going to make me better. Like, I think that needs to be the takeaway point from this, is the reason behind scaling is to get better, is to get faster, is to get stronger. And that's what the impact will be, because when you go faster and do bigger sets, your intensity goes up, your power output goes up, which increases the intensity, which will increase results. So that is it for today. I kind of said the same thing multiple times over and over and over again, but sometimes that's what it takes to get the message through. So hopefully that sunk in, and you'll be more open to scaling going forward. So this message is really kind of for those fringe athletes who are able to RX certain movements, but maybe don't have a high volume of them yet. And also for more experienced athletes who, even if you can RX most movements and you can do most workouts as RX'd, you might benefit from scaling some movements, adding a band, and then just seeing, hey, can I do a set of 30 unbroken? And then how many sets of that could I do in a row unbroken? So that is my challenge for all of you. That is my words of wisdom from experience. And yeah, have a great day. See you at the gym.